immerse yourself in the people, because it matters in every part of our life, not only in our personal life with, our spouse or our kids, but I will tell you, hands down, where I'm at today with DCS is 100% because of 170 capable, talented, persistent individuals.
Oil and gas makes modern life possible. The energy the world requires today and tomorrow will come from decisions made in the oil field today. Oil and gas will remain the leading source of fuel to power affordable energy that is sustainable for the billions of people that depend on the success of the industry. The oil field is a group of people, companies, technologies, and institutions working towards providing the world with safe, clean, storable, and transportable power. The Oilfield 360 podcast is a 360-degree deep dive into the leaders of the industry, who will provide listeners with a first-hand account of what it takes to build, maintain, and lead the energy business into the future. The Oilfield 360 podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors: Locked-In Global Energy and Marine, uncommonly independent. Locked-In is the world's largest privately owned insurance broker and risk finance advisor. Locked-In's global energy expertise is centered in Houston and represents the largest concentration of energy specialists, clients, and experiential knowledge in the upstream, midstream, and downstream segments of the oil and gas industry. Visit LockedIn.com for more information. Upright Digital. Upright Digital specializes in partnering with your business to maximize marketing efficiencies. We have a deep understanding of people, their needs, motivations, behaviors, as well as the technologies that enable brands in many industries to utilize what is available in a changing digital landscape. Find us online at uprightdigital.com.
Welcome everybody to the Oilfield 360. Joining you guys from the Thrive Energy Conference here at Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, and I'm joined by my dear friend and co-host extraordinaire, Jim Wickland. Jim, how are you this morning?
I am doing fabulous. I behaved myself almost last night, so I'm doing much better than some of the people I've seen around here today.
We had a good crowd assembled last night.
You had a fabulous party last night, and those were excellent margaritas and shots of tequila and several other different things. It was a great evening.
I didn't give anybody any Boudreaux Thibodeau jokes, but got to save those.
You got to save those for a different audience.
That's right. That's right. Well, the conference has been a fabulous conference this year. What have you thought about the lineup?
Not only have there been, you've had the CEOs of Schlumberger, Halliburton, Baker Hughes, Weatherford, Patterson, I'm not doing service to everybody, Atlas, Oil States. The lineup has just been stunning. And then for the first time, they've got a heck of an institutional investment presence.
It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
It really is. And when you've got, the top 10 long-only investment funds in the country with their own dedicated rooms, it not only tells you that there's increased interest in energy, thank goodness, but that they come to this conference as a way to get up to speed and learn what's going on. So I think John and his team ought to be exceptionally proud of themselves. This has been spectacular.
Absolutely.
No doubt. Well, I guess we probably ought to introduce our guest over here.
Who?
This guy over here. Yeah. Jim and I can clearly talk to each other all day long, and sometimes we do. We'd rather talk about bird hunting than anything else. But I'm here to introduce my good friend, Wayne Cutrer, President and CEO of DCS, Downhole Chemical Solutions. Wayne, How are you doing, buddy?
Man, I am great. Spent some time with you two gentlemen who, like you said, we share a lot of conversations off the platform like this about hunting and everything life. But no, we're good, and I truly appreciate you guys letting me come have some fun and laughs with you guys.
Oh, yeah, no. We've been wanting to do this for a minute, and so glad we were able to do it. It's kind of a atypical setting for conversations, but we'll go with it. Trust Josh.
It's a lot more fun than the
It's a lot-
studios, to be honest
yeah,
with you.
man.
That's
I
right.
like.
I feel like
this.
we're in the NFL booth
That's
watching the
it,
game.
yeah.
I know. It's good. Well, Wayne, for the benefit of our audience, obviously Jim and I know you, but part of the reason we do this is because we want you to tell your story, talk about you. I think you're a pretty interesting guy and great leader, but talk about DCS, and then we also like you to share some words of wisdom that you might want to impart on our audience, given your years of experience in this business and the trials and tribulations you faced.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about.
There have been tribulations?
Yeah, no, everything's
Oh,
smooth
those
sailing.
challenge things. Right.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you got in the wonderful oil and gas business.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I grew up in South Louisiana, Lafayette, son of a completion superintendent. My dad had 39 years between Shell and then Superior, then Mobil, and then ExxonMobil, and he retired from ExxonMobil as a completion superintendent. My brother, 35 years with one of the big four service companies. You grew up
in your blood.
You grew up in Lafayette. It's in your blood. But I will tell you, my father tried to steer me away from it when I got into college, and as you know, you just divert right back to it. So it's been a blessing.
Where did you go to school?
University of Southwestern Louisiana before it was Louisiana Lafayette.
Okay.
So so started had an opportunity in a part-time position in a lab for a production treating chemical company back in 1993, and that was the genesis. So spent quite a bit of time. There was a gentleman there by the name of David Trahan, who I want to mention, who's been a great mentor and leader for me in this part of the business as far as the chemical space and things. Still with us today as our chief science officer, started part-time, evolved from there. Actually tried to get out of the industry a little bit in early 2000s. Did some consulting, but the draw is just too strong. You can walk away from it, but it's gonna find you back. Yeah.
Can't stay away. Stay away.
So had an opportunity to go up to Calgary for 4 years and join a small group up there, where that's really what was the beginning of where we sit today with the completions fluid.
Had to have been a shock from Lafayette to Canada.
I tell you, it was a shock. Really, the only shock that's a great city. You guys have both spent plenty of time there.
They don't got no plus 15s in Lafayette.
No plus 15s. Yeah. So I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the people. The energy in that town was just tremendous.
No doubt.
I was talking to Ron Gusick yesterday at dinner at your thing, and he laughed. He said, "What was the hardest part about you living in Calgary?" I said, 6 hours or 7 hours of daylight in the heart of winter. I said that was a struggle. I said for somebody from South Louisiana, but nonetheless, took me back here in 2010 and all completions related fluids for myself and. As many, 2015 got some companies. I say pretty fortunate. I was at a crossroads when that came, and the company I was with didn't make it through that. I had to look in the mirror and say, okay, what am I going to do? At the time, I took my top sales guy that was working with me and who became my business partner and co-founded the company with me, Chase Copeland. You guys both know Chase.
Sure.
And I looked at him, and we went to our deer lease in north of Brady, Texas. Oil was, I think, sub whatever it was, and we just said, we got to go do this. We don't have an option. So
like all great entrepreneurs, started at the worst possible time, And
that's the way you do it.
That's the way. And thankfully we had developed some technology on back then the HVFR. We didn't call it HVFR back in 12 and 13. But that was really what we had established our business on prior to starting DCS, and that was it. We were sitting at a hunting camp, and We got our first PO from a fine gentleman and client of ours out in the Permian Basin, and that was it. That was the spark. We got going. We took a little different approach. You guys kind of know a little bit of our background, but I'll share. We wanted to kind of do it our way, so we kind of bootstrapped it, friends and family money. Absolutely amazed how many people would open up a checkbook for a couple guys like us. And we had a financial advisor that helped us structure our company on the front end. And he said, you'll be surprised how many people will trust and invest in your company.
That's a hell of a testament. And I've been taking companies public and raising money for companies for a couple of decades. And the hardest part, by far the hardest part, is getting money committed.
Yeah.
So I congratulate you on that. That's a challenge.
I thought the same thing. And so we did our series A, B, C, D, and he structured it. And there was no rhyme to the reason. Well, for me, I'm just a chemical sales guy. But lo and behold, true friends and family. I mean, father-in-laws and dads and people we didn't even know that not only would trust in us, but didn't know they'd sit here and write these kind of checks. So we were absolutely blessed at the beginning, both on the client's front, the friends and family that helped us get going. And what it did is it helped us build and manage the business the way we thought it needed to grow it and to be successful and not have to look over our shoulders. And that was a big comfort. There's a lot of risk involved in that, but my philosophy is if I'm a bet on anybody, I'm a bet on myself. And that way I only have to look one person in the mirror if I win or lose.
That's right.
So we did it, and kind of I say the rest is history. There's been a lot with DCS, but that was the genesis. That's how we got started with the business back in, that was November 2015.
Wow. So talk to us about kind of where the business is today and where your focus is. Y'all did some pretty interesting self-financing, I guess, not too long ago.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that? Yeah,
I'll walk you through. So, starting the business back in 15, really the first 4 years, we focused 100% on slick water fluid systems. We didn't deviate into production or drilling chemicals or other things. My philosophy was pretty simple: keep it down the fairway, and be the absolute best at one thing. I just feel, if we start to try to distract too much and get out of your core competencies, you just can't be great at everything.
It's a lot of risk.
You can be good at a lot of things, but we wanted to be great at one thing. So we stayed true to that, even though, along the way there's a shiny penny every now and then you kind of pick up and flip it over, and it's like, but really the turning point for our company was March or so of 2018. We decided we had been monitoring this dry friction reducer market. There were some big companies that had progressed in it, and we kind of was watching what worked, what didn't. But we really felt from an economic standpoint, with just the sheer volume of these chemicals that are going into the stimulation market, that was an obvious move. I kind of coined the phrase back in day, decommoditize the commodity, because what happened is a liquid friction reducer was just a commodity, and
right.
it was reselling, me too, low margins, and we wanted to break that mold. So the team, we gave some direction, and this is probably one of the, I'll talk, this is kind of the proud dad moment of me as a CEO and a leader. I had a group of literally kids that were interns with me at the previous company out of University of Southwest or University of Louisiana, Lafayette now. So these folks were with me at 19, 20 years old as college interns. So they come on, they're full-time, they're graduated. They had never been on frac sites. But it's amazing when you have a culture that fosters innovation and really there's a lot of trust. And when you look people in the eye and you look at someone and say, that kid's got it or that person's got it, the best thing to do is let them go. Give them some direction,
right.
Give them plenty of support, pick them up when they fail. because we all fail. It's going to fail. But I tell you, we had some great leaders at our executive team that helped these folks along the way. And in January of 2019, we commercialized our dry flow technology, which was equipment to deliver and administer, dry friction reducer real time at the frac job.
And why'd you do that? Talk about that for some of our audience that may not
What's the
appreciate
benefit?
that.
Yeah. So historically, for decades, the friction reducer used in hydraulic fracturing has been a liquid emulsion, and that liquid emulsion is a combination of oil and water that combines the emulsion and some surfactant. And the active ingredient is typically polyacrylamide, and it's 20 to 30% active. So what we're doing is we're reacting this emulsion. A lot of it's made in Mobile, Alabama, Georgia, South Louisiana, but nonetheless, it's only 20 to 30% active product, and then we're putting it on a truck, we're putting it on rail, and we're basically transporting 70 to 80% benign carrier fluid to get that 20 to 30% of active material. So we looked at that as the delta. We said, okay, what is on a performance basis, what is a dry look like at 95 to 100% active, depending on that material, and how do we capture that delta? There's going to be a cost delta there, logistics and things like that. How do we capture that and put it in our pocket and share some of that with our end user as a cost reduction? So that was really what we're after is capturing. That's why I say decommoditize the commodity. I use the analogy a lot. It's like, it's kind of the bottled water syndrome. We pay all this money for this expensive bottled water, and they decommoditized the commodity. They just figured out a way to have somebody, now we have a different approach and a different value proposition. We're going to perform as good or better and save you money, and if not, you probably shouldn't use this. I wouldn't use this if I was buying for myself. So that was it. It was a really simple model, and we just decided to focus on that. And really, the business took off. And
you led the market in that. Yeah,
we did. We kind of followed. There were some big guys out there that were doing it ahead, and we were kind of scratching our head because these are multinational, large, multi-billion-dollar market cap companies, and they weren't just outpacing. And we said we think we can do it. We can do it a little bit different. Take a different approach. And we did. With that, we applied for our patent, and we received our patent in 12 months, which is pretty astonishing. And again, a testament to some of these guys sitting in front of me right here watching this, and a great team of leaders, just fostering an environment of look, win, you might fail, but at the thing we're gonna support the heck out of you, and it worked. So that was it. It was purely what we looked at as just a cost function, because as we all know, these end users, our E&P, there's a lot of stress on them, for whatever reason out there in the marketplace, but it's all about costs. We as service guys, for I don't think 20, 30, 40 years, you can probably go back. It's always needs to be cheaper, lower cost, but don't affect performance.
Exactly.
So we just took that and ran with it, and that was the value proposition at the end of the day. As we got into started talking about the ESG and all this stuff starts popping up, then we highlighted a lot of the benefits of it, especially from an environmental, reduce logistics. There's a lot of other, kind of value add components of it that. Some people find value in, most don't. Most just want to say, cost per barrel of fluid treated, and,
true.
That's what I'm.
ESG gets codified. Even the pendulum swinging a little bit on ESG, it's still getting codified into the major oil companies.
Yeah.
So it matters somewhere to somebody, and it sure can't hurt having that as an argument.
Absolutely. So we highlighted. It's on the front page of our website. We've got a counter that talks about pounds of carbon reduction by removing the mineral oil component, the highway miles and things like that. So the numbers are real on that piece, and we're proud to be a part of that and be able to highlight that, for our clients.
One of the things I heard the other day, I can't remember if it was Jeremy Thigpen or somebody was talking about not so much the energy transition, but referring and not talking about energy expansion, but emissions transition.
That's
and
right.
I thought that was a pretty interesting way to look at it.
Exactly.
And probably what the industry should be talking about from the standpoint of looking at the increased efficiencies that we've put into the system, plus our switch to different types of fuel sources, whether it be natural gas or nuclear. Hopefully the industry will pick up on that and speak to that a little bit more, because
It has to, because the pragmatism of we still need oil
yeah,
means they can't shut us down.
right,
But what we can do is clean up our industry as much as possible, which is what we're doing.
Yep.
And so I think we've struck a great deal of middle ground lately. And I think over the next couple of years, you're going to see companies like Wayne and companies in the industry who have an ESG component and can show that they're having some benefit, but also making your customer more efficient, returning their cost of capital to a higher level.
Yeah.
You're going to have both. I think that's going to be critical.
We do, and you know, we get the question a lot: Do our end user clients, do they care about it? And you know, the levels we deal with at the operation, the execution engineers, I think everybody cares about it. Now, what value they put on it is different, but we continue to take the approach you mentioned, Jim, is we're going to highlight it because I think as an industry as a whole, if we can just deliver that message and be unified in that message, that the outside will start to slowly, it'll permeate with them. It's like moving a 1,200-foot ship, but we have to do it. We have to highlight it, no matter if we get a value for it or not, because these things matter. You know, when you talk about, look, we can go to the National Highway Safety Institute. You can look at the statistics on highway miles and fatalities per, and then we start to collect all that data of how many highway miles we've removed by, reducing our logistics by 300% because of dry versus liquid. You know, that's going to start to resonate, and those numbers are real. And I think as an industry, no matter what we do, is we need to continue to highlight that, because we should be proud of that, because when everybody's looking down and you know, some of the negative connotations of the thing, the more positive messages we can put out there, whether somebody's looking or not, I think ultimately it'll be great for all of us in the industry.
I think it's going to be like a cost of doing business. You have to be bonded. You have to be insured.
Yep.
You have to have an ESG program. It's not that anybody cares particularly the details of your bonding or the complete details of your insurance, though you would, of course, but or how deep your ESG program is, just that you've got one.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to be a part of doing business going forward.
Yeah. So again, our team does a good job of compiling and collecting that data and kind of sharing it with with the world via our website and our social media posts and back office systems for our clients. They can quantify that data for their particular business.
Yes.
Whether it's whatever the E&P company, we collect and we can send that data to them so they can take it.
Because they're sending it to somebody else, I promise.
So really, going back to the business, 2019, we started to grow it. And then we all know what happened in March of 2020. And for us, we were in that transition of really transitioning our business from the liquid friction reducer delivery mechanism, our model, to the dry. And unfortunately, COVID hit, and the Saudis and Russians decided to play their game. And I'll tell you, it's for me, that was probably that second proud dad moment of a business. A lot of us were on spring break when that happened. So we came back. We, as an executive team, have probably never spent more time in our office together than we did into late March and into April. And it was all hands on deck, and it was a lot of foresight, a lot of tough decisions. But for us, we were in a strong place. We had transitioned to dry. We had caught some wind behind the sails in the Haynesville, which, as we know, stayed somewhat active.
Yep.
we had some couple good clients, and we got through, the early part of that, and then we looked in the mirror and said, we're either going to turn left or right, and we turned right. We doubled down. We went into manufacturing mode of 10 units. We took advantage of some low interest government money that was out there.
Smart man.
And again, I said, if we're going to bet on anybody, we'll go bet on ourselves. And that was probably one of the better decisions we made, because like all of us sitting here and a lot of our audience, our industry's not going away. I mean, the Russians and the Saudis can fight, and COVID can hit, and China can go on lockdown, but the world still needs what we deliver.
Right. And it will for a long time.
And it will for a long time. So we had no hesitations. We did that. And that was really the catalyst for the growth of the business to where we sit today. A lot of things haven't changed. We're right down the fairway. Slick water fluid systems, the peripheral chemicals, surfactants, clay stabilizers, biocides, things like that. But even more to that, we focus on, the Haynesville, North Louisiana, East Texas, Permian Basin, both Delaware, Midland Basin, and the Eagle Ford. And that's it. That's our playground right now.
That's covering most of the ground.
That's covered. Yeah, people ask a lot about expansion. I said, look, we still have runway down here, and my philosophy is pretty easy. The kind of the franchise model is the easiest. Look, if we know what we're doing down here, we have all the infrastructure, we have all the support mechanisms. Let's continue to until we run out of runway in these basins, because in this industry, in this market, it's expensive to expand. Not only are we're a capital for
you're a capital intensive business
for a chemical company. We are very capital intensive because of our equipment. So we continue. We're those ones that we'll just keep beating our head against the wall. Some people probably look at us like, what are they doing? But we think eventually the wall will crack, and that's we keep it simple. As we sit today, I checked with our CFO yesterday. We're a head count of about 170 employees in those three basins, and just one foot in front of the other, and now the business, I feel, has got some maturity to it, and we continue day by day, just not changing the formula too much, just always innovate. We're a competitive group. We've got a competitive group of individuals, and most importantly, we have fun. We have a lot of fun. We cut up. We laugh. I don't know about my peers out there, but we have an all teams DCS chat. And when teams all DCS chat, and when I say all 170 employees have a voice on there.
Corporate culture is just not fully appreciated these days by a lot. Recent studies showed that if you work remote, you're more likely to get laid off when they lay off people because you're not part of the corporate culture. It sounds like you've got the culture part down pat.
We do, and we're really remote. Our corporate office is in Frisco, Texas, of all places. I laugh. I said, we're not the hydrocarbon capital of the world. We don't have a physical office in Houston, although we have 3 individuals here. So that's what we do. We get that connection via, lots of interaction with town hall meetings, kind of open forum meetings. But I tell you where it all starts is things like our team's chat. I will tell you on Sunday, when football's out there, and whether it's the Cowboys or the Texans or who, that's where most of our communication on that, and it's mostly smack talk about football, and those are the kind of things where from my level at the CEO down to a facility worker or an operator in the field, they all have a voice on there, and they can all send GIFs, and we laugh and we cut up, and I think that that kind of stuff is just intimately important for a business as you continue to grow without losing touch of that culture, because we're 170 employees now. It's a little bigger than back in the day when it was 30, 40 of us.
Well, not only that, but y'all did something that brought everybody a little bit closer together, and let's talk about that. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of talk in consolidation, not only with the operators, but in certain lines of energy services. I don't think it's any secret you guys were testing the market, and I don't think you necessarily liked what you saw. So talk about what y'all did.
Yeah, we as you mentioned, David, we went through a sales process in 22. Had some interest, but as we all know, on the OFS side, it's just a lot of people with hands in their pocket. Equity's kind of, there's very little equity left.
Yes.
So it becomes down to the strategics and things like that. And I got it because they weren't being, there was no value for them on the M&A side, whether public or private. So we didn't get what we wanted during that process. So it was the end of 22. I received a number of emails from a gentleman out of Las Vegas, of all places, and it was an RBC Wealth Management team out of Las Vegas. So you could probably you guys have known. Okay, you get an email from a wealth management group out of Vegas. You're just like delete. But finally, I don't know what caught me one morning. I read it, and it was a well written email about alternative liquidation options, ESOPs, things like that. So I walked into my CFO's office, Bo. I said, hey, I'm going to set a call with this guy. Would you mind joining? And I said, just, we were a bit frustrated. The market just wasn't there. It's not there for us OFS companies back then in 22. Right. So we got on a call, got off. And probably like most of us, ESOP, employee owned, we hear about it. We kind of know, but really don't know the magnitude, what it is. So we started exploring. We went down that path. We were fortunate that group that reached out to us they were well versed, expert on the financial components of the ESOP. They introduced us to a gentleman that really was kind of that was the genesis for us, because he's one of the most interesting and articulate individuals I've ever sat with, and he's all things ESOP. And he was the consultant that started, and he baby walked us because it was a lot. It was definitely a lot for me, but when it was a lot for my CFO Bo, who I consider to be a very, very savvy guy, I was like, okay, I don't feel too bad. But after a couple months of going back and forth, we bounced it off the board, and a little bit they said, kind of sounds too good to be true, but let's see. So we did. We continued down the path. 23, the business was on an uphill trajectory. And we just continued, and it all worked out. So long story short, August 1st of 2023, we sold 55% of our business to the employees. So marked not only a monumental shift in our business, but just a great day all around for shareholders, for employees, for the company, because we woke up August 2nd and went to work and did the same thing in the exact same fashion. Nobody, telling us what to do. No different agendas, no different management.
But with a much more incentivized workforce.
With a much more incentivized workforce, and that was really the piece of it that we didn't really know, because this is foreign to everyone. So we were transparent with the team 3 months ahead, and why we wanted to be transparent with them is we wanted them to know, hey, there's something great coming, and you don't have to worry about anything, because we had gone through a couple of I call close calls. We were close to selling a couple different times to strategics, got down to the 10th, 11th hour, and there's always that concern with your team, like what's going to happen to me after, and that matters when you got 170 people and they have a spouse or a significant other and they got kids. For me as a CEO, that I take that to heart. That's what I have to take to bed every night, and it sure was comforting and also exciting to know we're going to wake up August 2nd, and these people are going to be more incentivized and more excited about the future than they ever have been. And you can't often say that when you sell the company or things like that. That's so. so that was it. We continued in 23, operating as a ESOP, tried to slowly start to educate. We became super transparent. This has been a really fun thing for us, is we hold quarterly town halls that are company-wide, but we also hold these monthly, what we call ESOP, our management stock ownership plan group. I think it's about 20 folks in there now. And we break it down. I mean, we open up the financials, the playbook to them. We educate them.
Yeah.
We show them where they have control as an owner. My philosophy is pretty simple. If you're going to be an owner, you're going to be an owner, and we're gonna educate you. We're going to bring you up at your own speed, but we want everybody to know at all times the good, if there's any bad, the bad.
And how to make it better.
And how to make it better. And I'll tell you, it's been absolutely fantastic watching individuals from all walks of life, all education levels, from 23, 24-year-old to, even I'm one of the old guards of the company, but to see the engagement, the excitement, the questions we get when you start to talk about, when you walk through OPEX, you walk through a P&L, and you start breaking it down, and these people know, okay, I can affect these areas. That's where if I swipe the Amex or if I issue a PO, these are my areas, and it's been really neat, kind of watching these people grow within that and get excited, and it's really all leading up to here. Probably middle to end of March, every employee will get their first statement.
Wow.
Of where actual piece of paper with a value on that, and again, being how we operate in transparency, I'm happy to say that that first distribution to our employee owners is going to be right around 100% of their base salary in year one.
That's fantastic.
And we try to tell them that this is, I don't say life-altering money, but it can be. For the next 2, 3, 4 years, you start to accumulate that, and we laugh all the time. We just can't wait. Christmas. I turned 50 in April. There's a lot of good dates coming up, but I think that the number one for me, the most exciting for me, and especially our executive team, is when those statements go out the middle to the end of March. I wish I could be a fly on everybody's wall at their house and when they open that statement. So that's the culmination of it.
You just made retention a moot point, didn't you? In a market where turnover is a concern.
Yeah.
And there's a thing called quiet quitting where people just do the minimum they can do to get by.
Yeah.
And people who, they're just there for their job and go on.
Yeah.
You're one of those companies that now has none of those problems.
I'll tell you, it's funny you say that, Jim. So we I over the past month or so, I've kind of spent some time with our team, and we've almost, we've adopted a philosophy of, I don't say pause, but we kind of say pause a bit. Let's just do some spring house cleaning, just make sure that the cobwebs under the couch and all that. Because you can, when you have a bunch of overachievers like I'm surrounded with, man, they always want to better, more, more. And sometimes, and that's the mentality that this ESOP type program, that's what it develops. You have engaged, excited, competitive individuals at all level. It doesn't matter if it's the field, the facility, up to the executive team. So that's it. That you hit the nail on the head there. We don't have any of that complacency. We have 170 people pulling the wagon in the same direction and chirping in each other's ear and talking smack like we're on the football field or something. So it's been a really, really fun experience. And again, I'm looking forward to hearing a few weeks when those first statements go out to the team. So yeah.
So what does the future look like for DCS and your expanded management team? Are y'all going to continue to look to grow organically? You got some M&A on the horizon. What are you thinking about?
That's it. So obviously we've grown organically since day one. So that's going to be at our core. There's a lot still for us that we feel not only in our core of what we do today with the dry FR and in these markets. There's some other expansion. There's some international possibilities, especially Canada. That's an easy one for us. but none of that's really on the docket today. You know, we're gonna let the dust settle a little bit with natural gas prices and stuff, and just continue to execute on our plan. So that's kind of the short term. There's the entrepreneur in me is the wheels are always turning, and especially the ESOP becomes a fantastic acquisition machine. So I've got some peers, some competitors in the marketplace. I have a lot of respect for. I like them as individuals. I respect the heck out of them as competitors. And they're where we were. I don't say trapped. I don't want to say that word, but you try to look at the liquidity, and if you do sell these multiples of, 2x if you can get it, you're lucky. So that becomes pretty attractive for me, especially with some of the intricate workings of the ESOP and what the IRS allows and things. It gives you an advantage out there on the market. So not that we're thinking about that today, but it is in the near term that we will likely engage in some of those conversations. And again, we just want to make sure, let these markets settle a little bit, the natural gas piece, and just make sure our business is on the footing we think it's on, which is really sound. And then we'll look. But I think absolutely. And then as you look at an ESOP, you really have to start looking out 5, 10, 15 years. You have to look. And luckily, I've got an executive team that's all younger than me, so they got They got plenty of runway in them. So I think that's really where I once we sell the other 45% to the employees, which right now is scheduled probably for early 26, and we become 100% employee owned. That's where it gets fun. That's where it gets interesting, and I think that's where a lot of my guidance to the team is going to be to look and we'll break out of that organic growth and start to really look at some strategic and multiple industries. What we do, moving dry powder, where traditional liquids is not isolated to the oil and gas industry. There's a huge ag market out there that's multiple size bigger than what we do in oil and gas. There's the mining side. There's some other things, but again, that's in the future. But it's starting to, we're starting to pull it onto the desk and starting to spend more time analyzing it. Well,
your subsector is exceptionally ripe for consolidation.
Yes,
there are any number of small, very capable, very well run, but small and somewhat specialized chemical companies, and like you say, they're all kind of the position you're in.
Yep.
They have technology that would allow them to grow, but they don't have the capital to do it. What we've tried to convince people is selling out for cash at 2 times cash flow is a terrible thing. But combining two companies that are both trading at 2 times cash flow is a perfect combination.
Yep.
And so I think you're going to see more and more the relative valuations, or the absolute valuations rather, matter less.
Yeah.
And more as deals get done. There are so many on the market. There's so many that needs to be done. And we've seen consolidation in every other place, every other subsector. Mm-hmm. And so I think you're right. So I'm betting you don't wait till 2026.
You would. I would not take the under on that.
There you go.
Well, I just think it's an area that smart money, in my opinion, would be focusing on, because as we've heard so many of our friends, today and yesterday talk about the mechanical efficiencies that we've developed, whether it's drilling or on the completion side. We still don't have recovery levels in the unconventional like we did in the conventionals, and I think a lot of that's going to be driven not by I don't know that you can get much more efficient.
You can never reach conventional, but you sure as heck can expand the unconventional recoveries you have now. Yeah,
no doubt.
Yep.
And so I think it's going to be chemistry that unlocks that ability.
I agree.
Yeah.
And both on the completion and production side. So I don't know. I'm kind of bullish on the idea of some folks coming together and bringing those two disciplines.
It doesn't have to have a chip to be high tech.
No, it doesn't. Absolutely. It's, we take that approach, with our business, and really, you can overcomplicate things, but what our our value proposition is pretty basic, pretty simple. Everybody can understand it, we look forward to it. But as you guys are mentioning, I think that's where some of my attention's starting to focus now. Again, I think there's a lot of good folks out there. There's a lot of good companies, got a lot of good teams, some other technologies, and just pretty simple. Put it on the right platform, and I think we have a great platform for that. That offers people still the flexibility and some options for the short-term liquidity is just not there. The checks for 6 or 8x and spend a year and then go away. Those days are gone.
They're gone.
I think the sooner I realized that. It didn't take me long, a couple years ago, 3 years ago, to realize that 2011, 2012, those are gone. Even though they weren't that long ago, and I sometimes think, well, I wish I would have started my business in 2010. But
you wouldn't have sold in 2014. It wouldn't have mattered.
No, probably not. You're right. I'd have been too young at that, and not educated enough at that time. But no, we look forward to. I think I've had numerous discussions here at the conference with folks, and the sentiment's all the same. I mean, we all know it. I think the sooner we can get some consolidation, some smart consolidation on the service side, in particular, I speak on behalf of the chemical side. For me, I think it's going to be better for the whole industry because there's still a lot of that kind of sabotage. When things get tight, you got companies just trying to survive. And look, and I get it. It's their livelihood, so they're going to do everything they can to survive. But I think at the end of the day, the more of that we can start to clean up, we're going to get better deliverables to our end users, and I think our service sector is going to be a lot healthier, a lot stronger for the future. So which I think we're all bullish on this industry for quite a while.
You reminded me of a book that I was required reading for everybody who used to work for me called The Big Rich.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the story of the 5 rich family oil companies in Texas over the many, many years. And it showed that none of them were just brilliant. None of them had unbelievable insight. They were persistent and never gave up. Mm-hmm. And so I think you embody that. That said, let's go back to the 21-year-old Wayne, and all of a sudden you appear in front of that 21-year-old Wayne. What do you tell that 21-year-old Wayne?
Man.
I can't wait to hear this.
I know, that 21-year-old. I would say to myself at 21, I would say, people. Don't take people for granted. Learn to I don't say read people, but immerse yourself in the people, because it matters in every part of our life, not only in our personal life with our spouse or our kids, but I will tell you, hands down, where I'm at today with DCS is 100% because of 170 capable, talented, persistent individuals that are all aligned. And that's the hard part. There's a lot of talented people, there's a lot of smart folks out there, but putting 2 or 3 of them and getting them aligned is hard enough. But 150, 160, 170, and keeping that year after year and never letting that truck veer off the road. That's what I would tell. Learn that part of, because you're going to always meet people with great ideas. You can always meet people smart. There's always going to be business opportunities, but you'll never get them done by yourself, ever. And if you really want to accomplish something, accomplishing things as a team, for me, is just much more, brings much more gratitude to me than winning something by myself. And that's what I would say. I teach my kids that. I teach that. It's look, the rest of your life is going to be about people, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your teacher, whether it's your boss, whether it's people that work for you. And the sooner you can get comfortable and kind of perfect that component of your life, which for me it took a long time. I think most of us do, but that's what I would go back to is that,
Okay.
That's good advice.
Yeah, pretty simple advice too. You think about it. Yeah. So.
I was just waving at Toby Rice there
Yeah.
for a second. So, anyhow, well, Wayne, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys, man. It's been fun. I know we've been talking about it for a while, and
Finally got you.
Got me. And I definitely appreciate you guys taking some time and doing this. This is a great avenue for have a lot of us folks out here and have some fun and deliver a message to people out there. And
Absolutely. Well,
yeah.
you're one of our favorite people, and are glad to have you here, and glad to hear about your success, and wish you continued success. You and your team.
I appreciate it, and you guys, you've been a big support. You and I have had plenty of lunches and drinks, and you shared quite a bit of wisdom. So look, it goes back to people. It's there's a nugget for everybody out there, and you guys, fortunately for me, have given lots of nuggets, and you've given lots of guidance to us and our entire team. So kudos to you and your entire team
Thank you.
for a lot of guidance that that helped, and again. I can't say enough with Jim. Just doing this as long as you've done it, man. It's the stories and the things I love. It's always
Experience, Jim.
Experience. I much prefer experience.
Yeah, it always brings a smile on my face when I get the report and I read it and I'm like, where's Jim today? It's like, where's Waldo? Where's Jim at? So I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for coming
Thanks,
on.
Wayne.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, join us on the Oilfield 360. We got plenty more exciting guests coming, and we've got some podcasts we'll be releasing that Jim and I recorded not too long ago, and many more to come. So appreciate you listening, and just remember, oil and gas makes modern life possible.
Amen, brother.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Appreciate it.
The Oilfield 360 podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors. Locked In Global Energy and Marine, uncommonly independent. Locked In is the world's largest privately owned insurance broker and risk finance advisor. Locked In's global energy expertise is centered in Houston and represents the largest concentration of energy specialists, clients, and experiential knowledge in the upstream, midstream, and downstream segments of the oil and gas industry. Visit lockedin.com for more information. Upright Digital. Upright Digital specializes in partnering with your business to maximize marketing efficiencies. We have a deep understanding of people, their needs, motivations, behaviors, as well as the technologies that enable brands in many industries to utilize what is available in a changing digital landscape. Find us online at uprightdigital.com.